Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. And the way I like to say it is, hey, everybody. How are you all doing this morning? We're so excited to welcome all of you. It's good to see everyone's face in the room this morning. And I want to extend a very warm and gracious welcome back for the new fall semester. We're all excited. This morning, we're going to share some great information with you on the great work that you've been doing throughout the year, and you will see that it's making a difference. So welcome back, and we'll have a great morning for the next couple of hours. I am excited this morning, first of all, to recognize members of our college board who are here. We have Mr. Andy Tysinger, Mr. Ron Green, Ms. Kim McCullough, and Mr. Jerome Biden. Thank you all so much. I will say that we are very privileged and blessed to have a wonderful local board representing the college on our behalf. And so thank you all so much for the hard work you do to represent TCC and to support me and the faculty, staff, and students. Thank you. And I would also like to acknowledge the President's Cabinet. So would you all please stand so everyone can see you this morning? Karen, Jennifer, Chris, Heather, Beth, Art. And I want to extend a very special thank you to the President's Cabinet. These are the leaders who help us run this institution. And as I tell you every time I stand before you, they are doing an outstanding job. And of course, you see the results of their hard work along with your hard work each and every day. So thank you all for all that you do. I want to just start my comments also by saying that we are just very, very privileged to have a wonderful keynote speaker with us today, and that's Dr. Karen Stout. Karen is president of Achieving the Dream. And I was so happy when I reached out to Dr. Stout and she said that she was able to come to be with us this morning because, as you know, the college is engaging with Achieving the Dream. And this is going to be a long-term initiative that we're moving forward here at TCC to make a difference in the lives and success of our students. So it is just an honor for me to have Dr. Stout here speaking with us about some national things that are happening, but also how they will impact the great work that we are doing here at TCC. So welcome, Karen. And before I call her up, I'm just going to read a little bit about Dr. Stout's bio, just to give you a little bit of taste of who we have in the room with us today, and also let you know that her bio, the complete bio, is in your materials this morning. Our guest speaker is Dr. Karen A. Stout, Achieving the Dream president and CEO, who since 2015 has led a network of more than 300 community colleges that aims to eliminate inequities in educational and workforce outcomes. Dr. Stout has received national recognition for her achievements and accomplishments in higher education, innovation, and leadership. Most recently, she was named by Washingtonian Magazine as one of the most influential people of 2023, and by EdTech Magazine as one of 30 higher education information technology influencers to follow in 2013. In 2022, Dr. Stout was nominated by President Biden and confirmed by the Senate to serve a 6-year term as a member of the National Council on Humanities. Prior to her work with Achieving the Dream, Dr. Stout was president of Monroe Montgomery County Community College in Pennsylvania from 2001 to 2015, leading that institution through a transformation process to improve student success. And that's what we are about here at TCC, improving student success. Dr. Stout holds a doctorate in educational leadership from the University of Delaware, a master's degree in business administration from the University of Baltimore, and a bachelor's degree in English from the University of Delaware. Faculty and staff, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Karen Stout.
Good morning. It's great to be here. I feel like I should retitle my remarks to be taking care of business. Thank you so much for Instead, I'll be talking about how our colleges, in doing the transformation work inside our institutions, connect to community transformation. And I'm going to specifically try to tie the remarks to the Shaping the Future theme for today around access, momentum, innovation, and community. The man who has many answers, is often found in the theater of information, where he offers graciously his deep feelings, while the man who has only questions to comfort himself makes music. And that's from a poem by Mary Oliver, titled The Man Who Has Many Questions. And questions are very powerful. In fact, I believe, and a lot of my leadership style is based on thinking that questions indeed are often the answers. And questions have been central to driving the work of Achieving the Dream colleges and will be central to the work ahead for Tidewater Community College as you re-enter the Achieving the Dream network. I want to offer my deep thanks to your president, to the organizers of this event, and to the team that I met in New Orleans at kickoff. If you were part of the team, can you raise your hand so I can, there we go. Now, I don't have my Chucks on today. I wore more proper shoes today. But I want to say to everyone at Tidewater Community College, welcome back to the Achieving the Dream network. I think that deserves a round of applause. You know, our connections with Tidewater Community College and Achieving the Dream are long and deep. You were one of the original Achieving the Dream colleges 20 years ago in 2004, joining 26 colleges that took a risk and came into this strange movement around success, student success, where we were asking you to shift your thinking from access to success, or to balance both. And I was president of Montgomery County Community College and watched from afar those 26 first colleges join the network and was trying to figure out a way to get in. How can I get my institution into this movement? We were able to get in, but not until 3 years later. And the college, Montgomery, is still part of the network. This journey you're entering, the journey you started, it's a long journey, and I'll talk a little bit about that today. You're also part of an effort we're working on right now with a few community colleges across the country and Jobs for the Future on improving economic mobility for adult learners. If you're involved in that, who's involved? There we go. We have a few of you over there. And you know, you may not know this, but you led the way for one of the hallmark, I think, innovations of Achieving the Dream between, say, 2015 and 2019. And that was our work with 39 colleges in 13 states to help those colleges create zero textbook degree pathways. You were on the front end of OER. Remember that? I'm sure that I looked around in the building before coming up to the stage and noticed that your bookstore, you have everything's pretty much online. I have to say, I took a picture of it. Though somebody saw me taking a picture, was probably wondering, why is she taking a picture of this sign? It's because I was at a community college earlier in the week that had a bookstore line that was probably 3 hours for students to wade through. So, you think about that and you think about the innovations that you're engaged in here. So I'm going to talk about ATD and our evolution, because we're not the same Achieving the Dream that we were in 2004 when Tidewater Community College joined Achieving the Dream, nor are you the same college that you were in 2004 when you joined Achieving the Dream. I'm going to mention the path ahead for our nation's community colleges to kind of set some macro context for the conversation, and then I'll go into the areas of access, momentum, innovation, and community, and hopefully leave you some food for thought as you are working on your next strategic plan, as you're working on connecting your QEP, as you're working to align your focus on student success, rather than create another vertical of work that will potentially exhaust you even more than you're already exhausted, because we all come here tired and overwhelmed. This work is not easy work. So let's get started. 20 years ago, Achieving the Dream was launched to help move colleges, community colleges, from being just access organizations to access and success organizations. We thought we could make a bigger difference in the lives of all students, but especially those who face the greatest odds to complete, particularly poverty-impacted and racially minoritized learners. Our unit of change as a national organization is at the campus level. We believe, as we activate redesign of each college, one by one, in your unique local context based on the questions that you ask yourself about your data, we'll start to see accelerated gains in student success. And from that acceleration of 1,200 community colleges, we'll make our country more equitable, our communities more prosperous, and our students more successful. We started as a movement that thought success was not just defined by enrollment numbers, while important, not the only number to look at, a movement that puts students and their lived experiences at the center of the work that we do, a movement that has pushed us from just looking at disaggregated data, oh, that's interesting, just looking at it, to action. Action that redesigns our systems and processes to address equity gaps, deep and chronic equity gaps across different student groups within our institutions, or as Estella Ben-Simone calls them, institutional performance gaps. So if you think about moving from the language equity gap to institutional performance gap, it puts the onus on us, not our students, for their failure. It's a different mindset. It's a shift that's really important. It began with a real commitment to build on failures as we work on redesign. It's not easy, we fail often, and to scale successes. A movement that now touches, and this is much bigger than the 26 colleges that you joined with in 2004, 318 colleges, even more with our recent larger cohort that came in this year in 45 states, but also South Africa, where we work with 28 universities, and New Zealand, where we're working with a number of universities and technical colleges. Our movement is one that I really believe offers a new vision for what excellence looks like. I think this quote from Secretary Cardona captures the spirit that we are a sector not defined by privilege, legacy, and selectivity, but by equity, inclusivity, and real upward mobility for students. And that's what we should be rewarding in our higher education sector. I'm a firm believer in this. And our work stands on the shoulders of our practitioners in the field, especially faculty who need to lean in and be engaged. I'll talk a little bit about creating a culture of teaching and learning excellence that's foundational to scaling results. But most of all, the work is inspired by our students. Students like Talia Christian, who was a Dream Scholar at our convening in 2022. I love the way she offered this quote as part of a reflection as she was listening to the convening. And what I like about it is that she described ATD Network colleges as colleges that hold a genuine desire to change. Colleges with innovation at the heart of what they do, just like Tidewater Community College. You see the spirit of genuine change and innovation and the potential of innovation. So for ATD, how are we different than we were in 2004? Well, we've shifted our thinking, and from looking at designing specific innovations, siloed interventions, to ones that are more horizontal, that go across systems and processes and practices in our institutions. We've shifted from looking at completion as the key success metric to looking at what completion leads to. This is big. This is a big one. It leads to social and economic mobility that is the engine of community vibrancy as we transform, our communities transformed. And we've circled back to understand that if we're truly going to help students and communities, we need to radically rethink our access agenda. Not just our success agenda, our access agenda. And the assumption that access is in our DNA because we are community colleges. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. At the center of our work, and it has been since day one, is our unwavering commitment to supporting all students to success, especially racially minoritized and poverty-impacted students, and centering student voices in our work. These commitments call on every ATD college to create a better and more equitable future for our students and the communities we serve. So we need to step back and remember, this is data we didn't have when Tidewater came in 2004. You took a risk when you came in. There was no evidence-based kind of thinking that this work of ATD would make a difference, but now 20 years later, we know that we are making a difference as a network. A recent study of ATD network colleges shows that ATD colleges have rates of improvement that are steeper than non-network colleges, and that they are narrowing equity gaps at faster rates. And the longer colleges stay in the network, the better their results. The longer they stay in the network, the better their results. This is not a short-term game. This is a long-term effort. This is putting student success at the heart of your strategic plan, in the middle of your strategy. And ATD is filled with examples of colleges that are disassembling the gear wheel. And when I say the gear wheel, that is that we are designed to get the results that we're getting. And in that design, we're perpetuating inequities in our communities, in the workforce. Now, we inherit many of those inequities from our K-12 systems and the design of the K-12 system, but we do have a responsibility, I think, to disassemble the gear wheel. So what does it look like to disassemble the gear wheel? There's no secret sauce, there's no recipe I'm going to hand you today. You're going to discover it from your own data and the questions you ask about your data. But these are characteristics of successful ATD colleges. They know where they're going. They have a clear North Star. They have strong fundamentals. These are some of those kind of internal fundamentals we think are really important to building a student success culture. And I'm going to speak to the evolution of this in a moment. They have an organizing framework to pull together their student success work, whether it's guided pathways, whether it's a lost momentum framework, whether it's your own strategic plan, whether it is your tenets of access and momentum and innovation and community, or even our new community vibrancy framework that I'll share in a moment. The point being, there's a way to organize work, and everyone understands that framework. They advance their own unique theory of change. So last week I was in Chicago at College of Lake County, and their unique theory of change, and they've been accelerating success rates, they're a leader college, they want to go the next mile, is to really focus on creating conditions for faculty success. That's where they're moving. They've done advising redesign, they've tinkered around the edges on onboarding, some of their kind of student support work, but they're really leaning in to the heart of the enterprise, the work with faculty. And our colleges that are seeing the best results are moving with strategic patience. They have a sense of urgency, they're not tempted to make short-term fixes, but they're really working to address systemic issues. I shared this at kickoff, so some of you that were at kickoff will understand this a little bit. I want to share an example of the framework in action. So these are the 3-year graduation rates at Sinclair College in Ohio. They were one of the original ATD colleges in that cohort that you joined back in 2004. And you can see their data pretty much stayed flatlined from 2005 all the way until they started to see some movement in 2012, and of course, in recent years, they've really seen accelerated gains. I show this because Sinclair is still part of the network. They're still part of the network. They were a Leah Meyer Austin Award winner. They've reduced equity gaps. You see their success rates going up, and you might say, well, geez, what were they doing in the network between 2005 and, say, 2012? They were experimenting. They had a lot of failures. They were trying a lot of interventions. None of them were scaled. They were siloed, boutiqued. We learned a lot as an organization about that. So we really, when you come into the network now, we're going to say to you, scale. We're not going to say pilot. We're going to say scale. We're going to say, look at your data and figure out what your big move is and scale it. And so we learned a lot from the early colleges, and as soon as Sinclair started to think about their framework to organize their work, and this was their framework. They really started with the end in mind, and they mapped backwards. Every college that I work with has a different map on this. You'll create your own, but the point being there is one, and everyone understood it. And then this was the accelerator. They used national research to see that if students in the first year did these 5 things, they were 4 times more likely to graduate. And they backward designed all of their systems and processes so that every student, full-time, part-time, was exposed to these 5 things. They made a decision on a major, didn't linger in undecided or general studies for too long. They got an advising map, and the college made a commitment to offer all the courses on the map in time frames that were important for the students to get 24 credits in the first year. They completed college-level math and gateway math, college-level English and gateway math in the first year, so they were not lingering in developmental education. For Sinclair, they really worked on getting students to 30 credits, whether they were part-time or full-time. They tried to create the semester structures to allow for students to do that. And then the big one here is to take 9 credits in your field of interest. Don't wait, get your major, get some exposure to it so you understand, and it's contextual, and all of a sudden learning comes to life. Does this make sense? Yeah. So this was the accelerator, and you'll figure out what your accelerator is. Oops. So the path ahead. We need to look inward and continue the innovations inside, just like Sinclair is doing, but I'm going to also challenge you to think about looking outside as well. So we need to redesign our redesign. We need to be taking a look at the things inside our colleges with a beginner's mind, but at the same time, we need to think about the evolution of the movement. So I'm not going to go into details on this slide, but these are a couple of points that I see our colleges rethinking. They're rethinking developmental education. We started reforms in DevEd. We didn't finish them. Did you finish your DevEd reform work? No, very few colleges have finished their DevEd reform work. We're moving from course completion to program completion, really looking at programs. We start with looking at courses, a great way to get faculty deeply involved, but then connecting that to program. I'm seeing a resurgence of the humanities, especially as we think about AI and the implications of AI. So a lot of rethinking on general education. What does that mean in today's workforce-oriented perspective, that our students are coming to us for jobs, they're also coming to us for civics learning skills and lifelong learning skills, but how do we rethink that? Dual enrollment is becoming much more mission-centric. Our colleges are blurring non-credit and credit, and there's a lot of changes in the field in advising. Have you started any advising redesign here? Yes? The piece that I think is interesting with advising redesign is the role of faculty. I can't find a model out there that is like one that I would say, look at this. And it eliminates the clunky handoff from students who come into our student services areas and have an advisor to getting into the program and having a faculty mentor or someone who's going to really, make sure that they move through the program to completion. It's a clunky handoff. It's clunky for us, it's clunkier for the students. So maybe you can help us set a national model for how to design that. But second, so that's the internal. The second is that our movement is evolving. It's not just completion that's driving us, it's completion to what end? What does it mean for students and their return on education? And what does that then mean for the community that you are in? And how your work is aligned with advancing the prosperity of the community. And then underneath of that, what does that mean for access going forward? Because I think it means something different. It doesn't just mean getting students in, it means supporting students all the way through their time here, that they have access to the support services, that they know they exist, that they're using them, that they're braided together, that basic needs are part of, kind of that's an access move once they get in. So it's rethinking how you define access. I'm really hoping that as you think about this, you will do that. And then this is our new community vibrancy framework, a framework that I think you could use here to organize your work. And you can see how intentional outreach is connected to building early momentum for students. There's a lot of metrics here that I'll speak to in a second, to milestone momentum, to mobility, and then to vibrant communities. Can you use this to organize your work? Could this guide your next strategic plan? Can you set a North Star that's beyond completion, like Alamo Community College District has set their big North Star to be eliminating poverty? And they have community partners around the table backward designing on that. That's big. That's kind of the business we're in, right? It's not just around college completion. It's to what end, to what purpose. So begin thinking big about that. This year is a year of discovery for you as you come into the network. And I love this slide. It's from a book by Nancy Duarte called Illuminate. And she speaks to how we, as organizations, we have different climbs that we go on. And when we get to the top of the hill, it's time to begin redreaming. And I think you are in this cycle of redreaming. That's where you are at this moment of time. You have your new strategic plan coming soon. You have the work to align your student success work with your QEP. You have now come into Achieving the Dream, which can help you think about aggregating all of this work. And you have this focus on access, momentum, innovation, and community. Data, questions will drive this first year of work in Achieving the Dream and will help you to redream. So I go back to the framework, and I want to start speaking a little bit about expanding access. Go back here. So I talked about this is more than just opening up our doors. That's part of it. Former Broward College President Greg Hale points out our relationship with our students, their proximity to our institutions, needs to start long before students get to our institutions. And you know that. You know that. But what Access is not a call to create a new enrollment management strategy where we seek to find the sweet spot in the market to boost enrollment numbers and to give us the best yield. That's part of it. But that's not the central definition, to me, of enrollment management. We have to stop relying on traditional admission systems based on marketing, recruitment, and enrolling only the students who find their way to our doors. We have a lot more work to do to know and understand who is missing from our campuses and why. Who's missing? What do you know about your community? Who's missing? Who's disconnected from you? I think these disconnected learners are what we call opportunity youth, but they're also adults. Lots of disconnected adults. You know, this slide on College High School Alliance, ATD works very closely as part of the Alliance. I'm showing this to show a North Star potential around what you could do around dual enrollment. Because I believe dual enrollment is designed not to find the missing students, but to enroll the students we already know want to come to college. But what would it mean if we thought differently about dual enrollment and access to dual enrollment and shaped new structures and systems to support that access? Moving to momentum. And you see here I put mobility with momentum because you don't have mobility in the framework for today, but I think momentum leads to mobility, and few colleges are launching students from low-income quintiles in their communities into the middle class, and there are a lot of data modeling opportunities for you to dig into. Raj Shetty at Harvard, in his Opportunity Insight forum, you can go in, you can put the zip codes you serve, and you can see the students, or you can see the citizens that are in low-income areas with no possibility right now for moving up. That's the mission of our community colleges. Get into those communities. And creating better access only matters if students can get on a pathway and make progress on it. And this is where some of those traditional metrics from the Community College Research Center, early momentum metrics and program momentum metrics, are going to be so important for your work ahead. Especially challenging you to think about program enrollment. What students are getting into your programs? What's the composition, the demographic composition? And what students are graduating from those programs? Oh, you're going to see the inequities. You're going to see the systemic inequities play out when you really begin to look at program enrollment. And to me, this is a design problem inside our institutions. Colleges that enroll proportionately more underrepresented minority students tend to offer fewer programs in fields that lead to the highest post-college earnings, quote unquote, from the Brookings Institute. And this is particularly important as the push for more students to enroll in short-term certificate programs continues, especially if those programs don't lead to living wages Or don't stack, not just, on a piece of paper stack, but really do stack to a career or a next credential that leads to a living wage. Black students, women, and older adults are more likely to enroll in sub-baccalaureate programs than any other subgroup of students. And these credentials typically don't have labor market value. Another finding from Brookings. Community. Increasing access and momentum for completion requires working much more closely with community partners in what I call boundary-spanning partnerships, where you don't look to have a seat at every table so people can say Tidewater Community College is at the table, but so that you prioritize where you are, where you're going to make the best and greatest impact, and you think about whether you can play a role as the collective impact partner at that table. You can lead the work. It's a whole different way of thinking about community. Earlier, I think I mentioned this opportunity to take an inside-out and outside-in approach to our work. And it's that dual perspective that is really important as we move into community. At a time when many question the value of college and the return on investment for what has become an increasingly expensive decision, within these partnerships, we have to think about the relationship between work and learning. We can't make them independent, separate. Our students don't do that. We do that. We design ourselves to do that. Our students are trying every day to figure out how to make their work life fit their learning goals and their learning life. Our most relevant community colleges take the form of their communities, but they also shape the future form of the communities they serve. Think about that. You move from being a little bit passive, well, we'll take the form of our community, to being a college that drives the shape of the community. And this means thinking differently about four-year partnerships. Do you know 80% of community colleges come to us wanting a bachelor's degree nationally? And only 15%, 6 years later, have a bachelor's degree. And on that journey, they've accumulated credits that don't lead to anything. They've accumulated debt, and they're sitting in low-wage jobs. That is an ecosystem design problem. It's us with our university partners. We need to flip that around. You need to own your 6-year bachelor's degree completion rates, and you need to know what those completion rates are by each university partner that you have. And that's just one big shift that I'd encourage you to think about. I like this as a matrix to think about, the depth, moving from transactional to more transformational partnerships. A lot of times we are with a partner and there's really no coordination. Sometimes we coordinate by, internal levels in our institution, but mutual agreement is where we really need to be, mutual alignment in our partnerships, especially with our K through 12 organizations. Innovation. Now, I know I'm going out of order for you here, but I thought putting innovation at the end instead of before community was important, because I think you see innovation in just about everything that I mentioned around these pillars of work. I often cite John Kotter's book, Change. It's brand new. It's about 2 years old. If you haven't read it, I think it's a great read. Of course, I'm a geek when it comes to organizational design and data systems. But Kotter talks about the growing gap between the rate, amount, and complexity of change outside our organizations and our capacity to keep up. We just can't keep up. And the gap, according to Kotter, presents a danger, but also an opportunity. That is, if we can be agile and adapt. And he suggests that we need to create organizations that are centered more on thinking and discussion of opportunities rather than dwelling on problems and being then in thinking about opportunities, relentless in pursuit of those opportunities. And I think that idea drives a lot of what I've talked about around access, momentum, and your work with the community. For me, innovation begins with inquiry. Innovation begins with questions, not answers. Innovation begins with shaping questions around data. And this is a data organizing framework that I hope you will adopt and think about as you go through this first year of inquiry with Achieving the Dream and your coaches. Because I can assure you there will be a lot of cause to wonder questions as you look at this data and as you disaggregate it. So yes, I think data sparks innovation, but I want to specifically speak about pedagogical innovation because it's in the classroom. We've left behind the classroom in this movement. It's in the classroom. Faculty are scalers. You touch every single student in our institutions. And for some reason, our reform movement has had a blind spot about the role of faculty. And there's a whole nother lecture I could give about why there's that blind spot. But I can tell you at Achieving the Dream, we are working with faculty in a number of innovation areas. In Florida, Ohio, and Texas, we've been working with colleges and faculty on adopting adaptive, personalized learning courseware that's making major differences for students in developmental pathways. In our work around OER, we saw that not only could OER improve access and affordability, which is an equity issue in and of itself, but can also lead to improved student outcomes and be fully engaging for faculty who have an opportunity to redesign, co-design their courses with students in identifying the instructional materials that will be contextualized and relevant so students see themselves in the curriculum through the selection of the OER material. And through our work with the Post-Secondary Teaching with Technology Collaborative, we're learning about how to help faculty build students' self-directed learning mindsets. But we can't do this kind of work unless faculty are willing to embrace experimentation, to improve practice, and to get the flywheel turning with their colleagues. We also need to make sure we give faculty the reflective space and the safe space for that kind of experimentation. That has to be part of the design of our culture. So I applaud you for having such an expansive theme for today. I know I've shared a lot, and it's particularly a lot given all of the external challenges we face as a sector and the challenges that we've faced over the last several years, especially the pandemic. Amazing work through the pandemic. We're still tired. We're still tired, but we learned a lot about ourselves. We learned a lot about our students. Let me assure you, as you lean into the Achieving the Dream work, we will stand with you. But we want you to know this is a long-term commitment. If you want the results, no pain, no gain. You're part of a network now with a deep commitment to drive equitable change, to provide more students with real opportunities to achieve their dreams, to help their families, and to help your community thrive. When we transform our colleges, we do transform our communities. I know this future is attainable, and I know it is attainable in this region. I end today with one last question for you. What is your red thread? What is your red thread? What keeps you coming back? What brought you here today with so much energy, enthusiasm, hope? Every year we kick off a new year, I miss being on a campus. I miss this time of the year on the campus, so I'm so glad I get to feel the energy here. What is your red thread? And I look over here. That was my red thread this morning. I'm like, yes, that's why I do this work. So what is it? What sustains you? What sustains you when you're on the brink of walking away? Borrowing from poet William Stafford, the poem The Way It Is, your red thread is the thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it does not change. People wonder what you're pursuing. I could never really explain to my mom and dad what I did for a living. I especially have a hard time explaining it now. It's easier when I was a college president. You have to explain about the thread. It's hard for others to see. But while you hold it, you can't get lost. You don't ever let go of the thread. Don't let go of your individual red thread, because when woven together, they are what makes this college a unique and essential part of the fabric of this region. Thank you so much for all you do together to engage with your students, to strengthen your institution, and to help your community thrive. And I look forward to working with you over the next many years. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe some blue threads in here. Take care.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stout. And I will tell you, your message and all of your presentation was really wonderful, and it was just what we needed to hear this morning. What is your red thread, and who's missing from our campuses? Who is missing from our campuses? You know, I often say that we are the community's college. That's why I love the fact that community is in our title, Tidewater Community College. We are the community's college. And I often say that we are a reflection of our communities. So to Dr. Stout's point this morning, who's missing from our campuses? That is something that we will definitely be reflecting on throughout the year. Who's missing from the 4 service areas in which we have campuses sitting today? That is so important. We will ask Dr. Stout, and she's graciously agreed to stay with us for a special question and answer session immediately after this afternoon, after we have our lunch break. So we, at this time, will take a 15-minute break, and we will return shortly to hear updates from the college. And I asked Dr. Snyder yesterday if we had a bullhorn to make sure we can get everyone back in. So we're going to do 15 minutes and 15 minutes only. Thank you all.
Now, before we begin the second half of our program, I'd like to recognize our entertainment, the TCC Blue Moon Jazz Ensemble, led by Mr. Mark Dennison, Music Program Head. Let's give them a round of applause before they play us a short. Thank you, Mark, and thank you to the members of the ensemble. At this time, I would like to welcome Dr. Kimberly Bovey, Associate Vice President for Planning and Accountability, who will share information on Sachs-Cox reaffirmation for the college.
Next. Yep, here I am, right here. Oh, push record. Don't mess up the computer, Sarah.
Yes.
Good morning. Welcome back to this academic school year. So I've been given, can everybody hear me? Okay, good. I've been given the task of talking to you about a couple really important subjects for college updates. And I want to move through it quickly, but I also want to move through it so that you understand. And the first thing I want to say to everybody here is what I'm going to touch on today is something that you are going to hear throughout the next 6 to 18 months from a lot of different people. So if you leave here today and you have more questions and answers, or you want to get involved, or you want to know more, please reach out to me, but please know there are going to be lots of opportunities with lots of folks across the college to talk about what I'm going to introduce you to today. So let's start off with reaffirmation. As you, hopefully all of you know, we are in the thick of preparing for our 10-year reaffirmation of accreditation with Sachs-COC. The work has begun. We are technically the class of 2027, which means Sachs-COC will reaffirm us in 2027, but what that also means is the work occurs, what we have to turn in occurs during 2026. What does that mean? We have to send our compliance document to Sachs-COC in February of 2026. That is our narrative responses to all 81 standards, as well as the documentation and the proof as part of those standards to let them know that we are indeed compliant with their standards and federal regulations. We are also this time going to be doing something a little bit different, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the QEP in a second. The QEP stands for Quality Enhancement Plan. We are going to be sending Sachs-COC an early draft of that this time, kind of a proof of concept to get some initial feedback. Spring of 2026, our focus report, that's a report that allows us to provide Sachs-COC with some more specific information. Our Quality Enhancement Plan final will be due the summer of 2026. And 2 years from today, we will be only weeks away from a team of 10 to 12 people from Sachs-COC coming to visit us. They will interview faculty, staff, and students. They will go around each of our campus. They will also be touring and interviewing folks at a number of our off-campus instructional sites, i.e. those dual enrollment high schools and any others that we open up. This is going to be a big event. We have a lot of work that's due in 26, and there is nobody in this room that those standards don't touch. Most of you, there are standards related to the work you do. There's 5 or 10 or 15. If you're in academics or you're a faculty member, 30 to 40 of these standards directly talk about teaching and learning. So this involves all of us. All right, so last year I think I got up and I gave you a picture of a hamburger. This time it's ice cream. This is a big project, and it is an opportunity to do something really cool. First off, it's an opportunity to do some cobweb cleaning, some dusting and cleaning on policies, whether it's our own policies, state policies, federal policies, our processes, how we work with our students, are we up to date? It's a good process. It can be a little intimidating, but it's a good process. The Quality Enhancement Plan is also an amazing opportunity because it is one of those opportunities that comes around every 10 years where Sachs-COC expects us to do a college-wide project and see it through and collect data and report it back to them for 5 years. So this is not a project that we can dream big and put it on a shelf. It is a project that we are committed to, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. However, there are a lot of gears in this project. There is a lot of stuff that can go wrong, and we want to avoid this. And I'm being a little silly about this, but in the end of the day, it's our students who suffer if we don't pull this off. So this is more than just dropping an ice cream cone. So what are we doing to prevent that? Dr. Constant has launched a SAC-COC steering committee. That work began in February. It is a large committee. Every single vice president and every single division is at the colleges there. I think there's well over 30 to almost 40 representatives in there. Every division, faculty are represented, staff are represented, administrators are represented. We don't have students on this one yet, but we will have students in future QEP conversations. They are working, they have assigned all 81 of the standards to division leads. Secondary and support divisions have been assigned. Meetings have occurred. Writing teams have been developed. Everybody right now knows where their assignments are. You may not be in the initial primary writing team, but you certainly will be part of this conversation moving forward. This should actually be a check mark. We have applied for the differentiated review. What that is an application to SAC-COC that basically says, as a stable college, we would like this differentiated review. If we pass this and they accept it, which we will find out in December, we will not have to respond to as many standards as we would if we don't. I will say the standards that we don't have to respond to are those kind of large board and governance level standards, a lot of the kind of day-to-day, and of course all of the federal and core requirement standards we do have to. We will find out about this in December. So until we know until we know, we're moving forward with the assumption that we have to meet all 81 of these standards. All right, this data and student achievement review, we've already talked a lot about data. You know that this is a very data-focused college, and we're going to continue to push that envelope even further. We have had some of the core requirements, 8.1 in particular, asks us to look at our thresholds and our goals around our student data. We've already begun. Anthony Macera and my colleagues in IR have already decided and pulled through some of this data. It's gone to PC. Academics have seen it. The deans have seen it. You are going to have an opportunity. There's going to be open sessions this fall, open Zoom sessions, so everybody has an opportunity to really unpack this data quite a bit. We are undergoing the QEP identification process now. Now, let me pause for a minute. In the past, those of you who've been here, we've done it a little bit differently in the past. We launched a giant QEP committee, and that QEP committee identified the topic and also created the plan. We're doing it a little differently this year. Two of my fabulous colleagues, and I think two of the most capable individuals at the college, Steve Litherland and Kia Hardy, are handling this part and will be working throughout the fall with quite a big roadshow and lots of modalities and ways of inputting this, your input onto the QEP. They're going to be working on this. Once the topic is identified towards the end of the semester, then we will look around, depending on the topic, and repopulate a new committee of internal experts. So if our topic is around, let's say, math versus English versus gen ed versus AI versus advising, we need to have different internal experts at the table to address those. So that is working, and we are right now doing a lot of auditing and outlining, a lot of rewriting of policy at both local, state, and making sure we're all aligned. In January, that QEP development team will kick off. Next summer, we will start launching the group whose total responsibility will be the logistics of making sure that off-campus instructional site visit goes well. As you can imagine, there's technology behind this, work groups, hotels, the transportation. That is a big group in and of itself. The narratives we have planned right now are expected to be complete a year from now. And that gives us the fall to take all those narratives, pull them together, cross-reference them, make them, even though they might be written by different divisions, all come together as a collective voice from our college, make sure that the data and the cross-references are correct, and where the dates that I started this presentation from, those fall in 2026. So we are in it now. I know 18 months seems like a long way away, but it's not, because you all know that as soon as we start the semester, we blink and it's Christmas, we blink and it's spring break, and we blink and it's next convocation. It just happens every year like this. So this is what we're doing. All right, so Connected to this, and this is really important, connected to this and part of this is something that the college at the presidential level, at PC level, at faculty and staff, this has been percolating throughout, and it's going to continue to percolate, is what we're doing with our strategic plan and alignment with all of these moving pieces. Dr. Stout alluded to the fact that we have a lot going on, and we have sometimes had initiatives here and here and here. I am telling you, and I think I speak for a lot of the leadership at the college to say we are really working to align these efforts. So, what does that mean? You've heard a lot about data. We are actually, I think, a very data-rich institution. Now, that framework was very interesting. There are some gaps, and I think we definitely have some areas we need to look at. Anthony, you should be taking notes. However, the good news is we have a very data-oriented culture at this college. The faculty, the deans, advising, student affairs, academics, facilities, finance, everybody is always looking at data. I would argue sometimes we have so much data we don't know how to swim through it. We have tons of data from the TCC. IR puts out reports daily, weekly, monthly, annually. We have stuff from the VCCS. Now we are fortunate to have Achieving the Dream looking at our data through their lens of equity, of economic mobility, giving some outside, but they also provide and harness some relevant national data, whether it's CCRC or data from the federal government, that allows us maybe to understand our own data a little bit differently. We also have and continue to get, and will have the opportunities to get, a lot of other pieces of data in different modalities. Surveys, impact, focus reports from our students, which is critical. Regional data, economic data, community data. There's a huge push of where we are with Region 5 in the Commonwealth. So this data is all over the place. Lots of good resources. We also, as an institution, have a lot of goals and responsibilities. Some of those are self-made. Our own strategic plan, Innovate 2026, which I might note to everybody is getting a little long in the tooth. We built this plan during COVID. It's not very far away to being out of date, and we'll need to do another one. On the flip side of that, we have a brand new, quite impressive strategic plan. It is the inaugural strategic plan by the Chancellor Doré, the new chancellor. It is highly driven by data. It is very clear. I encourage all of you to go to the VCCS, look at their dashboard. It is very clear what each 23 of the colleges is given very specific metrics for every outcome year by year. So we know very clearly what we need to do to meet this. The performance funding metrics have not gone away. These are those student progression metrics of accumulating 12 credits or 24 credits, getting through math, getting through English. Part of our funding still comes through this. And as I've mentioned before, we have our SAC-CO3C goals and thresholds that we internally have created that we have to meet. And those are some of the presentations that Anthony's going to be giving in October, that it's critical for all of you to know where we have slipped below thresholds so that we can address those issues. So we have a huge amount of data and a lot of goals and responsibilities that align and that we need to align and that overlap, and that's the good news. All right, so next steps. First thing we're going to do is we are going to take a group. I've been charged by the president to pull together a small group. It's going to be mostly populated by faculty. Those faculty members are being nominated by their deans by Pathways right now to align. We're not going to change the strategic plan. All we're going to do is do an amendment to it to make sure our own strategic plan aligns and supports the efforts of the VCCS, because we do work within a system and we need to be careful. And many of the items in that new strategic plan are things that we need to work on. Our own data shows that. The other thing we're doing, the other opportunity that we have, is the QEP. This may seem self-evident to you, but it is critical that this data feeds the QEP and that the QEP comes out of these goals. It doesn't have to support all of them, but there is a substantial amount of overlap. I think the real question is, we need to ask ourselves with regards to the QEP, is what data are we going to try to change? What data do we have that we want to change with our QEP so that it does change it and so that our QEP responds to and moves these other goals and responsibilities we have as an institution? So this alignment of data and goals and responsibilities is a critical piece. And as you hear from Anthony or Kia and Steve moving forward about the QEP or accreditation, or you see policies being dusted off or changed or process being updated, we are always looking at this kind of picture to see how we can align that better. So thank you. Will you please join me in welcoming my colleague Anthony Macera to the table? He'll talk a little bit about enrollment.
Thank you. So enrollment, every year you get an enrollment update, and it's not always the most uplifting. But this morning, Dr. Constance said, you've all been doing great work this past year, and it shows. She's probably thinking of a lot of things when she said that, one of them probably being enrollment. Let's start off with summer enrollment. How was that? This summer, we had the largest summer enrollment increase since the year 2010. Our overall headcount increased 7.1%. Overall FTEs increased 9.1%. FTIC students increased 11.1%. That is critical. As you've heard me say before, in order to grow, we have to bring in more FTIC students, more first-time in college students. It looks like we're doing that. The new transferring students increased 10.6%. And it's not just new students. Our returning students increased 6.2%. So we're bringing the students back that we already have. So great job this summer. We have not seen these kind of numbers in a long time. So now summer is over, and we're getting ready to start fall semester. So sometimes summer is an indicator of what's going to happen in the fall, and sometimes it's not. We're here a week out. Let's see how we are. Well, right now, overall headcount up 8.4%. FTEs up 9.3%. Our first-time in college students, 6.3% increase there. Our re-enrollment rate is up 3.6 percentage points. We're bringing the students back who were here in the spring. Our online FTE is up 12.5%. We saw online enrollment going down since COVID, but now we've seen an increase in that as well. And it's still early in the Q1, Q2 for the non-credit registrations, but it is up 17% right now. So for a change, things are looking good with regard to enrollment. We're in the issue of access, getting the students in here, keeping the students here, we're doing well. So great job. And now, I would like to introduce Ms. Beth Lundy, the Associate VP of Human Resources.
Good morning. And I thought a couple of years ago it was really tough to follow VP Chris Bryant at our administrators session when he gave this very lively presentation, and now to follow Anthony with this great news, and I've got to talk all this HR stuff. So I do have several updates, and I am going to move through them quickly. So I do encourage you to utilize the QR code that's in the program. You'll have access to the slides. And then you can follow up with me and or the HR team if you have any questions about any of the information I'm presenting this morning. So we are currently seeing an increase in the number of COVID cases in Virginia and in our area. And as a result, we are seeing an increase in the questions that are coming into our office. And so I just wanted to share some information with you. The current CDC guidance regarding COVID when you're exhibiting symptoms and or have a fever is provided here on this slide. You can use available leave to cover your time away from work due to COVID. If you tested positive but are not exhibiting symptoms, you may still be contagious. While not required by the CDC to isolate, they do recommend taking precautions such as social distancing and wearing a mask to reduce the spread. Timely care. Timely care is a benefit the college offers to all employees and to students. The benefits provided to employees are detailed here on the slide. Timely care is similar to our employee assistance program that's available to those enrolled in the state health benefits program, but the advantage of this is you do not have to be enrolled, you don't have to be a full-time employee, and you do not have to be enrolled in our state health benefits to take advantage of timely care. You can access services by clicking on the Timely Care icon on the MyTCC applications page, and that icon is pictured here on this slide. You do need your VCCS email, not your TCC email, but your VCCS email. And when you click on this icon through the MyTCC application, it provides that email address in case you're not familiar with your MyVCCS email. Another benefit of timely care is an advice line that we can all utilize to help our students. So this past year, we've implemented 2 new college HR-related policies. We've created those. They were approved earlier this year. Policy 1201 related to service animals, and Policy 3114, visitors in the workplace. Both of these policies outline employee responsibilities, and if you've not reviewed them, please do so. So as many of you recall, we contracted with Gallagher to complete a compensation study for us. The study consisted of 3 elements, and Gallagher has now completed their work of all 3 phases. We fared well overall. This summer, Gallagher has provided their final phase, the review for compression, and we are currently reviewing their few findings to determine if that is in fact true compression or if there is an explanation for it. Our next step will be to work with finance and then to look at budget impact and then have a conversation with cabinet. A few educational assistance updates and reminders. First, please note the points of contact for professional development funding based on your employee classification. And second, the slide does outline a few challenges that we see in our office with submissions for educational assistance. And just know that timing is everything. Be sure to submit completed paperwork to HR before your class begins, those applications, and then when submitting the request for reimbursement within 30 days from the completion of your class. Last year, I reported that the Advisory Council of Presidents approved a plan to modernize and upgrade the system's 403B voluntary retirement programs, and that it may result in a change in plan providers and investment options, as an example. In June, we had a Change Liaisons meeting where we were advised to share with our college community the current status and the expected timeline. So once the new record keeper is selected, a new system-wide 403B plan document will go into effect. This is kind of the current timeline here. Last year, I also reported that VRS has chosen Voya Financial to serve as the new record keeper for the defined contribution plans effective January 1st. That date is fast approaching. So this affects the defined contribution component of the hybrid retirement plan as well as the 457 supplemental retirement plan and cash match. And additionally, Voya will become a provider choice for the optional retirement plan for higher education. And finally, I ask that you log into Cardinal and you review your current benefit elections and deductions, as well as logging into vendor sites to verify your benefit selections. And please notify us in the Office of Human Resources if you have any issues or concerns or seeing a discrepancy between what you think you've enrolled in and what you're seeing in terms of deductions. Thank you. Please join me in welcoming Chris Bryant, Vice President for Institutional Advancement, who will provide an update on our TCC Proud campaign.
Hey, good morning. What's happening? When I say come on, you say come on. Come on. Celebrate good times. That's what I'm talking about. Blue Moon, you brought it. I'm telling you, right? But it wasn't just Blue Moon this morning that made our day so far. We've got students all among us. So our jazz ensemble has crushed it this morning. Culinary students, right? When I say come on, you say come on, come on. That's right. Culinary students, you brought it. Thank you for the coffee, the fruit, the cake. Right? Cake was in the house, Dr. Constant, cake was here, and horticulture students. Look at this up. Look at this spread, right? No. Come on. Right. Our students have showed up today, and guess what? It's our turn to show up for them. We have got so much good work to do together. I'm excited. Anthony this morning wouldn't even share with me before we walked in the good news of what's happening with our enrollment numbers. Like I've been twisting and turning for hours trying to figure out exactly what the number was, and he was so excited to share those numbers this morning. You also lit up when those numbers were shared, and I know that Dr. Stout will tell us that behind every one of those numbers is a jazz student, is a culinary student, is a horticulture student, a welding student who is ready, maybe a little nervous, but ready to get their game on because they want to come on. Now, let me tell you a couple things. First of all, the past 2 years, I have called you the choir. Now, you know my background. I was born and raised in a very faithful household. My father was a drill instructor in the Marine Corps who became a preacher. It's not something you see every day. There is a God in heaven. With that being said, I was the youngest of 7 children. Yes, I'm the baby and I am spoiled. But with that being the case, one of the things that I want you to know is that families come in all shapes and sizes. And our students come to us from all different backgrounds. Now, I called you the choir for 2 years because I'm telling you, every one of you show up every day because of the calling you have in your heart. Because something that's told you to get up, prep up, show up to serve someone else. We're cut from that cloth, all of us. So again, when I say I'm preaching to the choir, I know I am. But today I want to call you something different. I want to call you champions. Because for the past few weeks, and I've been mourning it a little bit, I've been missing the Olympic Games. For weeks, Dr. Constant and I worked 12 hours a day, and then I went and watched 12 hours worth of the Olympics. That's what I did for 2 weeks. I could not drag myself away. I don't even have a TV in my apartment. I was watching on my phone everywhere I could watch. And I got to tell you, when I watched those champions, and I got to learn their stories, it moved me. It was powerful. And so I knew that today, when I showed up in front of a group of champions like you, you're also going to be moved. So today, I don't want you to just hear from me. I want you to hear from our students and about our students, because it takes a team, it takes a village, it takes a family that's committed to move our students' lives forward. My title has the word advancement in it. I am all about advancing every relationship that we have, but most importantly about advancing the students and their unique pathway to success. So this morning, I want you to know that you are champions. You all deserve a gold medal as far as I'm concerned. And with that being said, I want you to know that we're a family full of faculty and staff, board members, coaches and advisors, community members. We are a TCC family that doesn't just exist within this room and within these walls. This greater community that we live in shares with us and shows us that it is a family around our students that's going to make a difference. Take just a couple moments. I want to share with you a video of some of our champions that are engaged in this fight with you.
Tidewater Community College brings that sense of family to it and that sense of connectedness, and you're not just a face in a crowd, that you belong here.
Being able to help a student get to that, find that pathway, and then ultimately get a job and then see how their life changes is amazing.
Coming to TCC allowed me to not only be able to communicate with my clients, but to move on and move up.
I think it's a drawing card for those who want to invest local, who want to learn local, and hopefully who want to stay local.
A world without TCC is definitely unimaginable.
We want to make this community college more of a community for everybody here.
It's important to support Tidewater Community College because people need access. They need a road to success, and they need people to help them get there.
Join us in giving to TCC.
So the next student can go from here to anywhere.
When I say come on, you say come on. Come on. Come on. From here. Oh, I tried to sneak that one in on you. You were ready for that. It's a lot of fun working with a team of champions to advance our college. TCC as a college is a catalyst for growth. It is an opportunity for change, not only in our students' lives, but generationally, for their families, for our industry partners, for our collaborative partners, and for the greater Southampton Roads community. One of the things that Dr. Constant and I love to share with our industry leaders in this area is 82% of our students stay local. 82% of our alumni stay local. So it's kind of funny, in my marketing pitch, when I say from here, it doesn't mean go anywhere. It means from here, stay here, and get a job. It's resounding that what we're doing is making a difference in our community, and I'm loving the fact that we're partnering with world-class coaches that are gonna help us achieve the dream. Not just our dream, but more importantly, the students' dreams. This challenge that we have before us can be summed up in the letters of a couple of students. And I wanna share some of these with you this morning, and then be prepared. I'm gonna ask for your help. Once again, I'm gonna ask you to lean in and considering being an even more invested member in this team, but I'm gonna prepare you. By the time I'm done reading some of these letters, you are gonna be falling in with me because this stuff is serious. The work we do is serious. Today we come and we know that we've got a lot of work to do come Monday. We'll be ready by Monday. Dr. Constant will be ready by Monday. But today, let me share with you some of the things that we've done most recently. This letter was written to Dr. Natali. Where's Dr. Natali at? There she is in the back. This is from Tara. I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to express my deepest gratitude for the incredible support and encouragement that you have provided me from the very beginning of my journey at TCC. Your unwavering assistance has been instrumental in helping me navigate the challenges I have faced, and I want you to know how profoundly grateful I am. When I first embarked on this path, juggling the demands of school with raising 3 children, it felt overwhelming. There were moments when giving up seemed like the only option, especially when life presented the toughest challenges. Yet, it was your support and the support of the team at TCC that kept me moving forward. Your belief in me and the resources you provided me made a world of difference, allowing me to persevere despite the difficulties. I am thrilled to share that I have been on the dean's list for 2 semesters. Come on. That's right. And recently awarded a scholarship. And I want to stop right there and tell you that Tara's been with us for 2 semesters, and she's been on the dean's list for 2 semesters, and she's had some crazy difficulties happening. You need to know that Dr. Natali and the team has wrapped their arms around her. When she said that she's got a scholarship, she was involved in a very demanding scholarship application process, selected from very few for a statewide scholarship in Richmond that she'll start soon. So when she just puts that one little line there that I got on Dean's list and I got a scholarship, it's unbelievable what Tara has done. While I worked hard to achieve these milestones, I firmly believe that none of this would have been possible without the encouragement and backing from CAPS, Open Door, and TCC. Your support has been the beacon of hope and the strength for me during these times when I felt like I might falter. This journey is not just about earning a degree for me. It's about breaking generational curses and setting an example, a powerful example for my children. I am the first from my family to attend college and return to school to earn my GED. By achieving these goals, I am demonstrating to my children that no matter how tough life gets, persistence and resilience can overcome any obstacle. It's never too late to pursue one's dreams. Your belief in me has been significant as a factor in my success, and I cannot thank you enough for everything that you have done. Your support has been more than just a helping hand. It has been a source of inspiration and motivation. I am profoundly grateful for each of you and the role that you have played in my journey. And I want to repeat that again, because this line is not just for Dr. Natali. It's not just for the Educational Foundation. It's not just for Open Door. This line is for every one of you, and I want you to hear it again. I am profoundly grateful for each of you and the role that you have played in my journey. It's pretty amazing when you think that we have 8 and 9% enrollment growth. It's pretty amazing when you think that we're the 2nd largest community college in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and with Dr. Constance's leadership, we will be the first at one point. I promise we will win. We will beat Northern Virginia. Come on! I want you to know that Tara's story resonates with me, and I have several more that I want to share with you at some point. It's the story of Rose. It's the story of Tanisha. It's the story of Lexus. And over the next few weeks, I'm gonna have these recorded, and I wanna share them with you by email, by video, so you can hear them, and I want it to remind you of this story about Tara today. Because over the next 4 weeks, we're gonna start on a little initiative, and it's called, very familiar to you, TCC Proud. That's the initiative where you, as the choir of champions, are the #1 demographic that gives to our students. And I want you to know that. Out of the thousands of gifts and hundreds of donors, there is no larger donor group than faculty and staff. So I want to tell you, that's right. Come on. Just this week, the foundation had the opportunity to provide help and services for STEM Promise scholars. And believe you me, we've got a lot of work to do to support STEM Promise, because STEM Promise has showed up, and now the foundation and donors need to show up to assist with making that dream continue to be a reality. We need all the help there we can get. But a unique story, Carson. Carson's one of our welding students that just a few weeks ago was able to go to a national competition to represent TCC in another state. Was it Pennsylvania? Was it Pennsylvania? Carson went to compete, and Carson had, because he competed locally and sectionally and regionally, by the time he got to national, it was paid for. Like all the things that he needed was provided, which was amazing, and he was on the scale of the best welders in the country and represented us well. And one of the things that the staff team said was, Carson mentioned to me that while he's gone for almost a week, he's having to take time off work unpaid. Is that something that the Educational Foundation can lean into? And immediately we said, the answer is yes. Now we need to figure out how to do that. And just this week, we cut Carson a check to figure out how to do that. Tara and Carson are everything to us. And whatever we can do to continue to help them on their pathway, big, small, everything in between, is within our reach. So my friends, what I'd like to ask for your consideration is once again this year, now if you're new to the college, and I can see some of you out there, but I don't know where all the new folks are, I'm the person that I'm gonna come and twist your arm once a year, right? If you're not new to this, I'm the person that's gonna give you socks and hats. If you didn't get your socks from last year, the TCC socks, I'm happy to provide those for you. And this year we'll go from our toes to our head. We'll do something like in this region, right? I was taught not to wear hats, and so I'm gonna put that back down. But with that being said, those are just tokens. What I want you to think about is how to help students in a small way. Now here's my ask to you, is you'll receive emails and videos and things from me and my team asking you to make a personal gift to the Educational Foundation. Our TCC fund is an unrestricted fund, so whatever you give will help our students with scholarships, with emergency funds, and with the growth of the college, preferably in that order. We want our students to have accessibility and scholarships. We want our students to have retention and emergency funds, and we want to be able to grow our colleges and our programs. With that being said, you have the ability to designate your gift however you would like. You have that power. So I want you to know, if there's ever been a moment where you're like, I'm not so sure about this Educational Foundation, although I think we're fantastic. With that being said, we're supporting our students in a number of ways. Support the students the way that you want to support them. You have 100% control over that. So designate your gift. With that being said, you're not gonna find a foundation and a marketing team and communications and Open Door and financial aid and the business office. You're not gonna find another team more capable and prepared and ready to serve our students. Now, choir. Come on. What I'm asking you to do, I'm still singing Celebrate Good Times in my head. I mean, there's several other songs, but Celebrate Good Times is the one that resonates. With that being said, I do want you to meet me in the middle. Lean in for our students. When you receive some of those emails, those texts, or the opportunities to give, please do. You can make a gift however you want. You can give one check, you can give now, you can give later, you can give with cash if you want, you can do all kinds of things. But the easiest way to make a gift is payroll deduction. And for me and my family, the easiest way is just to have that taken right out of my regular paycheck. I want you to meet me in that challenge. If $1 a paycheck is right for you, do that. If $5 is right for you, do that. If $100 is right a paycheck, do that. It's your level of comfortability. But what I promise you is every gift that you give to the foundation will be spent wisely, it will be stewarded well, we will be thrifty. Everyone's gonna make sure that what we do is for our students. So when I say come on, you say come on. Come on! I need your help, and I hope that you will rise up. Last year, I only share one number with you. Last year, we had 134 staff members give a gift throughout the year to this campaign. There are more than 134 people in this room. So I'm asking for your help, and I'm asking for you to consider a gift to Tara, to Jasmine, to Lexus, and all the stories that you're going to hear about, because our students absolutely matter, and we can be champions for their success. So I appreciate your consideration, and I thank you so much for your time. Give me one more, come on, come on! All right. Last year, if you remember, we had walk-up music. Do you guys remember this? It was not nearly as good as this year's music, but we all had walk-up music. And I remember Dr. Constant had no idea what song we were going to play for her when she walked up to do this closing. And if my memory serves me correct, and sometimes I exaggerate, but I believe the song was from Tina Turner, Simply the Best. So ladies and gentlemen, one more time, our best, Dr. Marcia Constant.
Well, you know, I have to say it. Come on. All right, all right. So we have already started celebrating early this morning. We had a great presenter, Dr. Karen Stout. We're still celebrating Dr. Stout's presentation. Anthony came and gave us some great news. We're so appreciative of those numbers, and thank you all for the great work you're doing. We have a beautiful, wonderful band over here. So we're just going to continue to celebrate this morning. And so we're going to celebrate by recognizing all of you, many of you in this room with special recognitions and awards. So we want to get started by recognizing employees who have met 5 to 45-year milestones in your careers. And you have received your we'll give you your formal recognition this morning. So I would like to take this time to acknowledge and to thank all of you honorees for your contributions to the college. The names of all honorees are listed in your program, but all of the employees who are celebrating 5 years of service, would you please stand and be recognized? 5 years. All employees who are celebrating 10 years of service, please stand and be recognized. And all employees who are celebrating 15 years of service, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you. And all employees who are celebrating 20 years of service, please stand. All employees who are celebrating 25 years of service, please stand and be recognized. Now, we would like to honor employees who have been with TCC or the Commonwealth of Virginia for 30, 35, 40, and 45 years. Please stand when your name is called and remain standing as I read all names and positions. So first, we will recognize employees who are celebrating 30 years of service to the college or the Commonwealth. And I will ask that you please hold your applause until all names have been called. Mr. Thomas Armstrong, Trades Technician. Mr. Patrick Brady, Assistant Professor of Spanish. Mr. David French, Associate Professor of Mathematics. Ms. Christy Hewitt, Assistant Professor of Math. Ms. Karen Moore, Education Support Specialist. Mr. Ryan Osborne, Trade Technician. Mr. Mario Scribner, Assistant Professor of Mathematics. Dr. Kelly Sorey, Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs. Mr. Bert Thompson, Trades Manager, and Mr. Richard Winley, Information Technology Specialist. Let's recognize our colleagues. Thank you all for 30 years of service. Our next employees are celebrating 35 years of service. Again, and I would ask if you will please hold your applause until all names have been read. Dr. Julia Arnold, Professor of Mathematics. Ms. Donna Bean, Financial Services Specialist. Mr. Peter Kane, Associate Professor of Hotel and Restaurant Management. Mr. Gerard Liette, Programmer Analyst. Ms. Annette Mewborn, Instructor of English. Mr. James Roberts, Assistant Professor of Economics. Thank you all for all that you have done 35 years at TCC or in the Commonwealth. And now we would like to acknowledge employees who have 40 years of service. Ms. Marilyn Medley, Coordinator of Admissions and Enrollment Services. And our last honorees this morning are those celebrating 45 years of service. And we would like to acknowledge Mr. Richard Gill, Associate Professor of Mathematics, and Ms. Susan Korzinski, Library Specialist. There you are. Thank you all. Thank you, Susan, for 45 years of service to our students, staff, and our community. At this time, I would like to recognize faculty and staff members who have been promoted since last fall. Again, each name can be found in your program. Would all present who have been promoted please stand? Wow. Congratulations, and thank you all for taking on greater responsibilities on behalf of TCC. And next, we would like to recognize new employees of TCC who have joined the college since the fall of 2023, as well as TCC employees who have recently been rehired or accepted full-time positions. New employees, welcome to TCC, and congratulations to those who have been rehired or achieved full-time status. And I actually met some people this morning in the room. Would all of you please stand and be recognized? If you're here, please stand and be recognized. Okay. Each year, the college recognizes a member or members of the TCC community whose life and service embodies the teachings and example of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., advocating a nonviolent approach to solving society's problems, fostering positive race relations in our community, striving to remove the social, political, and economic barriers of inequality, and possessing a realistic optimism for a better future for all. The recipients of the 2024 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. College Distinguished Servants Awards are each honored and recognized with awards. They were each honored and recognized with awards at an earlier event. One honoree is Ms. Jennifer Valentine Rouse, a city council representative from Virginia Beach and assistant professor of sociology and department chair of social sciences. Jennifer, please stand and be recognized. Thank you, Ms. Rouse, for all of your service both here at TCC as well as in the community. We so appreciate you. And next, we will have emeritus appointments. Emeritus status acknowledges truly outstanding and significant contributions over at least 10 years to TCC by faculty and staff who have previously retired. Emeritus appointments are conferred by the TCC College Board. So if you are present, please rise as I call your names. Ms. Ellen Hodges. Ellen is Associate Professor of Radiologic Technology. Ms. Nancy Jones, Trainer and Instructor of Health. And Ms. Glory McKinney, Computer Support Technician and Help Desk Supervisor. Thank you for your service to Tidewater Community College. Governance leadership recognition is given each year to members of the college community who have made exemplary contributions to shared governance during the academic year by leading one of the governance committees. Governance awards will be available for you to pick up at the stage at the conclusion of today's event. So if you're present, I ask that you please stand as I call your names. Administrative Association, Dr. Misty Lyon. Classified Association, Gia Lawrence. Curriculum Committee, Thomas Stout. Distance Learning and Technology Committee, Jennifer Hopkins, Judy Gill, and Leah Hagedorn. Faculty Professional Development Committee, Renee Hassang Aline. Faculty Senate, College-wide, Sarah DeCalogero. General Education Committee, David Karakoff. Am I pronouncing David's name correctly? Karakoff. Instruction Committee, Michael Blankenship and Stacy Laney. Internal Relations Committee, Novella Briggs. The President Advisory and Planning Council, Elizabeth Briggs. Student Success Coordinator, Jennifer Perkins. And Workforce Solutions Committee, Elisa Voda. Thank you all for your service to the college and to your colleagues. Let us recognize our colleagues this morning. And now we would like to recognize TCC employees who have distinguished themselves in unique ways. These employees were nominated and selected by their peers for their exemplary contributions to the college's mission. First, we have the Support Staff Employee of the Year awards. These awards recognize a full-time classified staff member and a wage employee who have advanced the college's mission and goals, as well as demonstrated effective leadership in support of the college's vision and core values. Kim Patrick, Administrative and Office Specialist 3, is the Classified Employee of the Year. Kim joined the college in 2019 and has been in her current position since 2021. Kim is the go-to person for staff and students in the public and professional services and education pathway. Please join me in congratulating Kim. Are you here, Kim? If you are, come on up. Come on. Come on. Congratulations, Kim. We love you. Thank you for what you're doing. So next, we have David Abraham, mailroom clerk. David is the wage employee of the year. David joined the college in 2022, and has worked diligently to upgrade mailroom services at District, as well as assist at material management in Suffolk. Please join me in recognizing David. Whatever way you choose. Thank you both. Thank you so much for what you're doing and for this special recognition, so well deserved. And now, Faculty Senate Awards. These awards recognize full-time and adjunct teaching faculty members who have demonstrated excellence in teaching, as well as full-time teaching or professional faculty members who have provided exceptional service to students, the college, or the community. Nominations are provided by students, faculty peers, deans, supervisors, and community members. Professor of the Year, Dr. Jessica Lanham, Professor of Spanish, is our Professor of the Year. Jessica was selected by the Faculty Senate and is being honored for her dedication to student success and engagement. She teaches Spanish in both in-person and online formats. An avid user of digital teaching modalities, Jessica has also fully adopted open educational resources for all of her classrooms, all of her classes. She joined the college in 2016, so please join me in acknowledging Jessica. Come on up. For our Adjunct Faculty Award of Excellence, we have Ms. Jalecia Armstrong, Adjunct Professor of Criminal Justice. Professor Armstrong was selected by the Faculty Senate for her remarkable efforts in the teaching of forensic sciences. She has been a forensic specialist with the Virginia Beach Police Department since 2011, and has brought her on-the-job experience to her classroom. She joined the college in 2017. Professor Armstrong was unable to be with us today, so please join me in congratulating her. And last, we have Dr. Tiffany Sledge, Professor of Sociology, who is receiving the Faculty Special Achievement Award. Dr. Sledge was selected by the Faculty Senate for the multiplicity of roles she has undertaken to advance the mission of the college. She serves on the Chancellor's Faculty Advisory Committee and its Executive Committee. Additionally, she's chair of the Portsmouth Campus Faculty Senate and is involved with numerous other campus initiatives, including the Portsmouth Campus Leadership Team and the Academic Affairs Council. Dr. Sledge joined the college in 2011. Please join me in congratulating Tiffany. Thank you all for and at this time I would like to ask Sarah to please come back to the podium. Thank you all. This was fun.
Thank you, Dr. Constant. The TCC Faculty Senate recognizes a variety of achievements, and recipient names for each award category are listed in your program. Faculty will be recognized individually during campus meetings. First, the TCC Faculty Senate gives professional recognition to colleagues who have demonstrated professional excellence in college and community service, institutional responsibility, scholarly and creative engagement, and teaching. To adjunct faculty in specific areas of teaching, the specific areas of teaching, college and community service, and scholarly and creative engagement. And to faculty who have distinguished themselves through teaching achievement, leadership, community impact, and scholarly and creative engagement. Congratulations to all the adjunct and full-time faculty who are recognized in these categories, and thank you all for making the TCC student experience truly wonderful. This concludes the College Awards and Recognition part of our program. Please offer a warm round of applause for all those who were recognized this morning. And thank you to everyone who attended Convocation today. Now, I have a few groups to thank, but someone ruined my thunder because he did it so boisterously, so just bear with me for a second. Come on! Before we go, I'd like to thank our TCC culinary program, who provided our delicious breakfast today. I'd also like to thank Chick-fil-A, our new partner, who's providing lunches for today. And I would like to recognize our horticulture program, which once again provided the beautiful plants for our stage.